In this video we're going to look at decimal multiplication. You've got an example there on the screen. So we are looking to do two-digit numbers, but both numbers this time are decimals with one decimal place. Okay, so let's start off with our 5.2 multiplied by 1.4. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change both numbers into integers, so change them into whole numbers first. So the 5.2, I need to multiply this by 10 because there's only one digit after the decimal place, and the 1.4 I'm going to have to multiply by 10 again for the same reason. Alright, so now we're going to do 52 multiplied by 14, which is a lot more straightforward to multiply, but we do need to come back to this later on because we will have to reverse it. Okay, and just a very quick note, what you're roughly doing here, we are roughly doing 5 multiplied by 1. So I would expect an answer somewhere around 6, maybe it might go into the 7 point something, okay? But definitely not 60 or 70 or in the hundreds. So we have got 52 multiplied by 14, and again, bigger number on top, and make sure that each digit is in the correct column so they're underneath each other. 4 multiplied by 2 is 8. 4 multiplied by 5 is 20, so 208, and what we essentially did there, guys, we did 52 multiplied by 4. I'll move on to the 1, which is in the tens column, so technically this is a 10, so let's put a 0 in first. 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 5 is 5, and again what we essentially did here was 52 multiplied by a 10. So our final answer is 728. But if you recall, I mentioned earlier, what we actually need to do is 5.2 multiplied by 1.4, not 52 times 14. And I did say the answer should be somewhere around 6 or maybe 7 point something. So it is very likely that our answer should be 7.28. But let's check. So here I multiplied by 10 twice, so to reverse that I'm going to have to divide by 10, which would be 72.8, but then divide by 10 a second time because I multiplied by 2 tens here. So my answer should be 7.28. On this step here, the dividing by 10 twice, you could look at that as dividing by 100 in one go if you wanted to. But 7.28 is our answer to this question. So on this next one, we are again looking to change both numbers into integers. 4.3, one digit after the decimal point, so I will only multiply it by 10. And again the 0.7, only one digit after the decimal point, so I will only multiply it by 10. But again that needs to be reversed later. And what I should say before I go any further, actually, you have roughly got 4 multiplied by 0.7. Because 0.7 is less than 1, I would expect our answer to be less than 4. This is actually going to get smaller, so it might be 3 point something. It might go into the 2 point something as well, maybe a high 2 point something, but more than likely 3 point something. So we're going to do 43 multiplied by 7 will be our calculation, and then we'll reverse it later. So bigger number on top, and we will start with 7 multiplied by 3. 7 multiplied by 3 is 21, carry the 2. 7 multiplied by 4 is 28, add on the 2, so 301 is our answer. It was a little bit easier in the last one because it was only 2 digit by 1 digit. But obviously we know that that's far too high. I did say earlier with our estimate it does need to be less than 4. So let's reverse what we did here. We need to divide by 10 twice. So if I divide it by 10 once, that'll give me 30.1. divide it by 10 a second time, and now I get 3.01. So the answer to 4.3 multiplied by 0.7 is equal to 3.01, which I would say is realistic. We did mention there it does need to be less than 4. Right, you've got two examples there, guys. Have a go at this one for yourself. This one is more like the first one we did, because your multiplication is going to be 2-digit by 2-digit, like this one here, okay? So let's just pause the video now and see how you're doing it. Okay, your first step would have been change these into integers. So multiply both numbers by 10. So we're going to do 81 multiplied by 72. And I would always think what my answer is roughly going to be before I do a multiplication. So roughly what we've got here is that's roughly 8. And the 7.2 is roughly 7. So I would expect our answer to be around about 56. Probably a little bit higher than 56, okay? So maybe the 57, 58, etc. But it's definitely not 5s, or it's definitely not in the 500s or 600s, okay? It's around about the 50 or 60 mark. Right, bigger number on top as always, 81 multiplied by 72. Starting in the right hand column, we've got 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 multiplied by 8 is 16. So what we did here so far was 81 multiplied by 2. Moving on to the second digit, we know that this 7 is actually 70 because it's in the tens column, so put our 0 in, and now we can do 1 digit by 1 digit. 7 times 1 is 7, 7 times 8 is 56, so the 5 moves over into this next column, and our solution is 5,007. Oh, I should have added from this side really. So 2 plus 0 is 0, or sorry 2. 7 plus 6 is 13, carry the 1, 6, 7, 8, and luckily that worked out okay for me. Yes, you should add from the right hand side really and work across, guys. I cheated a little bit there. So 5,832, and we know that that is not our solution because that's far too big. We're only doing roughly 8 times 7, and I did say earlier it should be around 56 or so. So I reckon our answer is probably 58, because that's close to 56, 58.32. So let's check it. I want to reverse this multiply by 10, so let's divide by 10. That'll give me 583.2, and we need to divide by 10 a second time, and that will give us the answer of 58.32, which is realistic. It is roughly 8 times 7. Right, I hope you found that helpful. What I would suggest, actually, I've done a video as well on integers with 1 decimal place. So for example, 27 multiplied by 3.4. So if this was a bit much for you, it might be worthwhile going back to that again, okay? Thank you for watching.